Dr. Richard Boyler, PhD behavioral scientist, anthropologist, associate university professor, clinical hypnotherapist, consultant and researcher, says he worked for over 15 years with people who report having encounters with extraterrestrial intelligent life forms. Also, it says that the government is aware about these extraterrestrial visitors. In the following conversation, Boyler claims to have knowledge of exotic artifacts, military aircraft with alien technology, built based on reverse engineering, which have anti-gravity technology, to even claims to know 12 of these artifacts, giving names and details. It also gives key data on contact between humans and visitors from the stars. By Richard Boyler, Phase D, scientifically and clinically, I have been working for over 15 years with people who report having had an encounter with extraterrestrial intelligent life form, a visitor from the stars. During the course of this work, I have felt necessary to learn as much as possible about the true reality of UFOs, and what the government knows about these visitors. Because of the abundant information about visitors to the stars and their encounters with humans, I started publishing my findings, presentations at national and international conferences, in magazines and specialty media interviews. This in turn attracted the attention of certain figures, currently or formerly in highly classified government sectors, institutions and military intelligence agencies. These individuals decided to filter some additional information for me, knowing that this would serve as a conduit to deliver that information to the interested public and prepared for such information. Due to the existence of undeclared operations or secret government facilities, extraterrestrial-related issues, from 1992 made the task of recognizing, observing and in some cases penetrate many of the most important facilities. I thought that getting knowledge could be very useful to help complainants feel safe that had not hallucinated, because such technology exists, and in fact, that the United States government is in possession of some of these technologies. While I have met, or have collected considerable information on American aerospace artifacts, not pretend to know everything that is in the United States arsenal, not everything about the operations and capabilities of the ships that I will identify. At this time, I am aware of the existence of 12 kinds of advanced space technology, aerospace platforms, all with anti-gravity technology in some way. These are the 12: the stealth bomber Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit, the F-22 Raptor Advanced Stealth Fighter, the Stealth Fighter Advanced F-35 Lightning II, the Aurora, the Lockheed Martin's X-33A, Disc Anti-Gravity Hunting for Two Men Lockheed X-22A, the Nautilus Buick and Airbus Industries, the Pumpkin Seed TR-3A, the Triangle TR-3B, the Saucer Great Pumpkin Northrop, the Helicopter Anti-Gravity Shark XH-75D, Teledyne Aeronautical, the Northrop Quantum Teleportation Disc. Before examining the 12 exotic aerospace craft, I will make a brief description of the different ways to generate anti-gravity fields. The most primitive anti-gravity technology is electrogravity. This involves the use of million volts to interrupt the ambient gravitational field. This results in a reduction of 89% of gravity on fuselages in such vehicles as the stealth bomber B-2 and TR-3B triangular craft Astra. And given the considerable environmental field IOSRTO observed in the X-22A, it is reasonable to assume that electrogravity of extreme tension is also used with these ships. The next level of sophistication is the magnetogravity. It is generating high-energy fields turning a toroidal many RPM, which also disrupts the environment gravitational field. In fact, a gravitational counterweight is generated. The first British aircraft engineers call this dynamic Canterbury. This has been used in some previous American and prototypes flying saucers, but they have just told me that the secret artifacts space travelers Nautilus using magnetic impulses, which appear to use this technology. The third level of sophistication, which is used in the most modern American anti-gravity ship, is the direct generation and use of the gravitational force. A field of powerful force extends slightly beyond the atomic nuclei of element 115, an exotic element delivered by extraterrestrial visitors along with human scientific advisors in the S4, south of the secret base Area 51. Amplification: the gravitational force, using high-energy antimatter reactor and then directing it. You can build a ship of the Earth and then change the addresses of vectors in the field of anti-gravity force accordingly. Important information about this third technology is available on website of Bob Lazar. This information is also described in the video of Bob Lazar. Lazar worked with alien technology at Los Alamos National Laboratory and S4 Area 51. All these technologies are primitive compared to that of extraterrestrial visitors, whose devices used by field propulsion use of zero-point energy. Let us examine these 12 advanced ships more detail. The amount of information available for each varies, in some cases more, in other cases very little. 1. The stealthy fighter bomber B-2 is manufactured by Northrop Grumman. Air Force describes him as a heavy bomber under observation, strategic, long-range, capable of penetrating sophisticated and dense coats of air defense. The stealth bomber has navigation and guidance systems, led by a program of artificial intelligence, ARI, classified. This ARI is exotic, involving extraterrestrial connection, recreated PCR, brain tissue with advanced hybrid integrated circuits connected to living with neurochips. The B-2 gets extra lift during flight by ignition of electrogravitational along its wings and fuselage to partially neutralize the force of gravity fields. Now you begin to see why our 21 Northrop B-2 cost about $1 billion. 2. The advanced stealth fighter F-35 Lightning II. It is constructed with a joint effort of Boeing Phantom Works and Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. It is the crude imitation of extraterrestrial starcraft. The guidance system of this aircraft incorporates special artificial intelligence, ARI, which means it has incorporated into the system by creating a mechanism semi-autonomous living and allowing the operation of the aircraft alien genetic material. Besides, the F-22 is capable of field propulsion anti-gravity, which selectively exercised by the pilot who is on mental connection with the orientation system of ARI, which activates the anti-gravity propulsion as needed in conjunction with a conventional jet engine F-22 thrust to perform maneuvers of the F-22 Raptor. I have personally witnessed a stop F-22 in its tail in the air and slowly and gently dancing around without regard to the pull of gravity. 3. The new generation stealth fighter F-35 Lightning II. It is built by Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman and BAE. The F-35 also incorporates artificial intelligence, quasi-alive and anti-gravity field propulsion, recovered, reworked for extraterrestrial technologies, plus thrust jet. 4. Aurora. It is a vehicle with space programs of moderate size. Dr. Michael Wolff, Council of Scientific National Security Subcommittee Special Study Group, formerly called MJ-12, has declared that Aurora can operate on conventional fuel and propulsion systems anti-gravity field. He indicated that Aurora can travel to the moon. Wolff also revealed to me that the United States has a small station on the moon and a small lookout Mars. He also reported that Aurora operates out of Area 51, north of Las Vegas, Nevada. 5. Military spacecraft Lockheed Martin X-33A. It is a prototype of Lockheed, reusable space vehicle. Lockheed Martin has built Prototype as a military version without acknowledgement, which I have dubbed the X-33A. Colonel Donald Ware, said I had recently heard from a 3-star general, who the Venture Star X-33 has a system electrogravity, anti-gravity, on board. This virtually ensures that military anti-gravity version, the X-33A, certainly should have also electrogravity on board. It is possible that what I have called the X-33A is the Aurora RT Acto describing Dr. Wolf. 6. The X-22A Lockheed, it's a 2-man anti-gravity disc. The last Colonel Steve Wilson stated that there were military astronauts trained at a secret aerospace academy separate from the regular Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. These military astronauts regularly operate out in space. One of the aerospace craft they use, Colonel Wilson informed me, is the X-22A. Another informant, Z. Acker Jesse, who previously worked at the NSA, said the Fleet Lockheed disc-shaped X-22A has anti-gravity and is a combat ship, equipped with weapons-directed energy beam of neutral particles, which is capable of being invisible to radar and eye, which is deployed for military operations around the world from a headquarters in Utah. Recently I heard from an Army engineer, who will remain anonymous on request. He confirmed that Lockheed had made the X-22A anti-gravity fighter disc. 2 men who had seen flying test on a zone adjacent to the main area of operations of Area 51. Canyon had seen defects during the flight X-22A. He said that in the X-22A original was a standard altimeter permanently, but that was faulty instrument readings in the field of anti-gravity ship, which bends space-time. He recommended that instead of this, to use one gradiometer, which would work best. Apparently his suggestion was finally taken, because in recent years has seen the X-22A to fly more smoothly and safely at high altitudes over and near Area 51. Another informant who wishes that his identity be kept secret has provided details operating related to military deployment of disc-shaped devices with anti-gravity technology that sound like the X-22A. Informer. During Operation Desert Storm, a close relative of mine was in charge of a division of the Navy at the front. 2 pictures of my relatives were confiscated. These images showed, 1 a large ship disc, shaped slightly before our men with a high-intensity beam of light emitted out of it. Then 2 where they were men, equipment, etc. He had been standing the device. There were only patches of coal in the desert floor. We have had this technology for a while. The disc was clearly described anti-gravity. Quite possibly it was the Lockheed X-22A of 2 men, the real Dark Star, which is the drone unmanned X-22 Dark Star, but served as a program of cover aircraft to conceal the existence of this anti-gravity combat saucer, the X-22A. Furthermore, as noted, the discs are equipped with the latest weapons of beam of neutral particles, which destroy the target at the molecular level. 7. Nautilus. It's another spacecraft, a secret military spacecraft which operates by magnetic pulses. It operates outside the new headquarters without acknowledgement of the United States Space Command, deep under a mountain in Utah. Makes trips twice a week to the secret military intelligence space station, which has been in deep space for the past 30 years and is manned by military astronauts, the United States and Russia. The Nautilus also used for surveillance. It is super fast, has ability to penetrate the airspace of a country. It is jointly manufactured by Phantom near Seattle and EU consortium Airbus Industries Anglo-French. During a trip I made to Washington State several years ago, I had a conversation with a former Boeing executive who worked in their Phantom Works division of Boeing Black Projects, roughly the equivalent of Lockheed Skunk Works. The executive confirmed what he had learned before an intelligence insider, that Boeing along with Airbus Industry European manufactured the Nautilus. 8. The TR-3, a pumpkin seed. It is a very fast air vehicle. The nickname pumpkin seed is a reference to its thin oval airframe, whose contours resemble that seed. technology uses pulse detonation propulsion system in a hyperswap technology and also used for propulsion anti-gravity field of mass reduction or complementary at higher levels of speed. Engine's detonation wave pulse could theoretically propel a hyperswap aircraft at Mach 10 to over 180,000 feet altitude. It is used to power a trans-atmospheric vehicle. The PDWEs might be able to lift the ship to the edge of space when switched to rocket mode. 9. The TR-3B Astra. It is a large triangular anti-gravity device within the United States fleet. Edgar Rothschild Fauch wrote about the existence of the TR-3B in his book, Alien Rapture. The TR-3B does not depend exclusively or mainly of rockets' hydrogen and oxygen. It is an aerospace craft highly reduced gravity, made in secret black programs by humans. The anti-gravity field produced reduces the weight of vehicles about 90%, so it is very necessary to keep it high to propel it at speeds of Mach 9 or higher. The outer skin of the vehicle TR-3B is electrochemical reagent and changes with electrical stimulation of RF radar and can change color. It absorbs and reflects radar signals. It is also the first the United States vehicle to use quasicrystals on its cover. This polymer coating, when used with electronic countermeasures TR-3BS and ECCM, you can see the vehicle as a small plane or a flying cylinder, or even tricking radar receivers falsely detecting a variety of aircraft, no aircraft or more in different places. It has a ring that is a stuffed plasma accelerator called the disruptor magnetic field surrounding the compartment rotating equipment and is far ahead of any imaginable technology. The Sadia and Livermore laboratories developed the technology through reverse engineering MFD. Plasma, based on mercury, is pressurized to 250,000 atmospheres at a temperature of 150 degrees Kelvin and accelerated to 50,000 rpm to create a superconductive plasma with the resulting alteration of gravity, reduction of substantially all of the force of gravity and inertial effects. The MFD creates a vortex magnetic field, which disrupts or neutralizes the effects of gravity on mass within proximity, 89%. The MFD creates a disruption of the gravitational field of the Earth on the circular accelerator mass inside. The mass of the circular accelerator and all mass in the accelerator, as the crew capsule, avionics, MFD systems, fuels, environmental equipment and nuclear reactor, are reduced by 89%. The current MFD in the TR-3B causes the effect of making the vehicle extremely light and able to overcome any device constructed, except, of course, the full back-engineered anti-gravity craft that the government does not support the world. To see anti-gravity ship known 13 American, made, see, the TR-3B VE high, with stealth. Once it arrives at such a rate, much propulsion is needed to maintain altitude. With the vehicle mass has been reduced by 89%, the craft can travel at Mach 9, vertically or horizontally. My sources say the performance is limited only by the stress that can support human riders. It is much, really, considering along with the reduction of 89% by mass, the G-forces are also reduced by 89%. The crew of the TR-3B should be able to stand comfortably up to 40 gs. 3 multimode thrusters mounted at each corner of the bottom of the triangular platform TR-3BS provide propulsion. The TR-3 is a vehicle Mach sub 9 to reach higher than 120,000 feet, then who knows how fast you can go. The reactor heats the liquid hydrogen and injects liquid oxygen in the supersonic nozzle, so that the hydrogen burn out while in the afterburner of liquid oxygen. The multimode propulsion system can operate in the atmosphere, with the thrust provided by the nuclear reactor, in the upper atmosphere, with hydrogen propulsion and orbit, the propulsion combined hydrogen and oxygen. The engines are built by Rockwell. 10. The disc anti-gravity Great Pumpkin Orthrope. It is manufactured by Orthrope Aircraft Corporation. I call Great Pumpkin for its bright golden glow reddish-orange. The first time I saw this ship was operating in test flight in 1992 on the crest of Groom Range in Area 51, Nevada. Later I saw the same bright orange device I had seen above the Area 51 conducting flight tests 60 miles north of Los Angeles, in the Tehachapi Mountains, east of Edwards Air Force Base. The Orthrope has its secret factory buried deep in the mountains. I saw the same bright orange artifact doing flight tests above the top of the mountain of Orthrope there as he had seen over Areas 51. When these discs are energized they emit its characteristic high gloss. It is reasonable to assume that this is due to strong ioizatio and that electrogravity is the methodology of field propulsion. 11. The Shark Anti-Gravity Helicopter XH-75D. It is manufactured by Teledyne Aeronautical Corporation of San Diego, now part of Orthrope Grumman. Colonel Steve Wilson reported that many of these XH-75Ds were assigned to the Division of Organization Delta, National Reconnaissance recovering downed UFOs. The division is also involved in cattle mutilation as a psychological warfare program on the American public, to try to citizens fear and hate extraterrestrials through assuming that they are the ones that kill livestock. The XH is also used, 75D, in kidnapping of innocent civilians, drugged, hypothesized fly in these silent anti-gravity craft and gives them the impression that they are on board a flying saucer. Colonel Wilson leaked the existence of the XH-75D jaws. 12. The Orthrope Quantum Teleportation Disk. Is anti-gravity field propulsion the most striking feature of this device? Number. There has been progress beyond the field propulsion simple anti-gravity. Quantum physics is now being used to update a variety of aerospace artifacts and weapons systems. In a field trip September 16, 2005 to the limit of Area 51, during an observation to the middle of the night, I saw first, then again, and finally 6 luminous objects appeared suddenly at about 305 meters above the desert floor. The gold field ioizatio orange, glowing around these ships is identical to the field of Orthrope anti-gravity disk. But in the 13 years that had passed I watched the disk Orthrope about Area 51 and the factory located in the Tehachapi Mountains has advanced considerably. In 1992, the anti-gravity saucer Orthrope slowly rose vertically from its board flight and gradually he reached flight altitude. But in 2005 the Orthrope Quantum can take his flying cushion and suddenly appear on the flight altitude without any visible rise. And it is not necessary to have off your field ionization during ascent for stealth purposes. Field ioizatio comes with electrogravity field propulsion. If the ioizatio is turned off, the ship would have fallen from the sky. Rather, what seems to be happening is that Orthrope engineers have incorporated principles of quantum physics in propulsion. In short, they seem to have used quantum entanglement to achieve quantum teleportation Orthrope. To the observer the device simply ceases to exist on the flight deck and instantly begins to exist, in this case, at 1,000 feet above sea level. If the interpretation of this observation is correct, there is an entry of 12 in the arsenal of anti-gravity the United States, the disk Orthrope quantum teleportation. If scientists' black budget continue advancing along these lines, we can foresee the day when the fleet of Air Force suddenly cease to exist on the runway of the airbase and instantly appear at 35,000 feet above a city destination up to half the world, using the principles of quantum locality and entanglement. America has used its enormous wealth to become the world superpower. The TAV-50 is just one example of its exotic arsenal, unnecessarily proliferative and highly destructive. The world awaits the day when the United States pay more attention to matters of the spirit, mind and metaphysical development and withdraw from their addiction to war toys. It has been said that if the American people knew what the military have in their arsenal today, would not believe, and they think someone is fantasizing about an episode of George Lucas' film Star Wars. But it is not science fiction. The future is here. The implications of these advanced anti-gravity craft, made by humans, are several. All anti-gravity technology is in control of an organization that carries out the UFO cover. This organization is heavily infiltrated by types of Kabbalah. Dr. Michael Wolff unfortunately concluded that Kabbalah had effective control of it. He should know, he was a senior member of that panel studies, formerly MJ-12, buried within the National Security Council. Since Kabbalah effectively controls the development and special applications of these vessels, remains a very high danger. Kabbalah will use its growing fleet of anti-gravity to try to repel visitors from the stars and make even wars in space. Elements of the United States Air Force and the Naval Space Command are making preparations for a space war. What we can do about this, as adults, light workers, or other people of goodwill do. First, we must know about dangerous and evil uses to which the anti-gravity and quantum technology can be applied. Secondly, contact our political representatives to oppose policies and systems weapons development-oriented war space. Third, to promote the launch of this technology in the civilian sector, where revolutionize transport, power generation, large construction projects and other peaceful uses.